ICP is definitely an incredible opportunity in this market right now, considering the fact that ICP is trading at levels that we haven't seen since going all the way back to November, while the ecosystem continues to expand in a very, very big way. We're going to talk about that. We're going to be addressing a few things happening around ICP, but we know that AI is a huge narrative around crypto. We also know that DeFi is a huge narrative around crypto, and ICP is killing the AI and DeFi game right now. Also, with all of the moves that are happening around ICP, I do think that we should be paying attention to, some of these moves concerning how big and how massive the ecosystem has grown over just the last couple months. And it just continues to expand with some of these huge events that they have been throwing, like for an example, World Computer Summit 2025. This was definitely a huge summit, which happened on June 3rd, which we'll talk about in this video as well. There's a lot to go over, so sit back, relax. Let's dive on in and actually start off with the price chart, because like I said, yeah, we're back to levels that we haven't seen since going all the way back to November, and we can see that we have been holding so far on major support right around $4 and like almost 54 cents. This is a major support that we have actually built out a floor on from March to now. And it was also a big support level back in the beginning and the middle of November, right before we skyrocketed to over $20+. Now, with this, we do have a few levels that we have to break over, including, of course, this major resistance level that we have pretty much been retesting for quite some time now, since going all the way back to March. And this is about $5.87. Once we could finally break over this key level, we could start to see an uptrend form on ICP, where we do retest some of these macro highs, like for example this high and then this high back here. These highs are pretty significant considering the fact that this is almost $15 and then this is also almost $21 exact. So we're definitely watching ICP here, and I do think that this is giving us and presenting us with a huge opportunity to really kind of buy back in on the lows right around major macro support. Because even this support level is also support that was held back in March of 2023. It was also the bear market lows as well, right before the FTX collapse. So ICP right now looks very good on the charts, especially if we can maintain and hold this $5.54 level. And I do believe that the altcoin market is brewing for a big moment in this space, because even when we look at some of the charts around Bitcoin dominance or even the Bitcoin pairs, a lot of them look bottomed out. So I'm hoping to see a big impulse and move here very soon on ICP over the next couple weeks. And I'll definitely be keeping a close eye on the chart as well. And if I do see anything significant, I will make a video and update you guys. But outside of that, let's actually talk about the overall social focus put on ICP. For an example, we have over here from Sentiment Feed. Here are crypto's top overall coins by notable development activity the past 30 days. Directional indicators represent each project's rank rise or fall since last month. ICP is number 1. Number 2 is Link. Then we also have Starknet, ADA, DOT, Kasuma. We also have Optimism, Deepbook on Sui Network, and then Ethereum. But this is very significant considering the fact that ICP does have a ton of dev activity. It was 557.7 in the last 30 days. And this is outbeating almost every single top project, or I should say every single top project, including even Ethereum. It shows you how much activity there is on ICP. I mean, listen, the growth right now around ICP has been just very, very significant. And it's been very exciting to watch ICP grow over just the last couple of weeks and even the last couple of months. And I do think that this is going to continue. I mean, the DFinity team is always building. They're always, expanding the ecosystem. And on top of that, even more recently, on the 27th, we do have here top AI and big data projects by dev activity in the last 30 days. Dev.activity, the development activity of a project done in its public GitHub repositories. Developer activity metrics are measured in number of GitHub events. And this is a new 30-day breakdown, which ICP is still number 1, outbeating majority of, these projects that are in, either the top 10, top 20 list, which is crazy to me. I mean, even beating Ethereum is just shocking. Again, it shows you how active the DFinity team is. Now, also on top of that, the network continues to show us how active the ecosystem actually is for ICP. 4,100 plus transactions per second right now. ETH equivalent transactions over 725,000 plus. The cycle burn rate is about $8,106 per day. We also have the instructions executed per second, which is 72,416. This is million instructions executed per second, which is just crazy. On top of that, we can see the data centers, the node providers, the node machines, which are constantly growing and expanding. We could also see the canisters, which are smart contracts on ICP, over 948,000, which is crazy. And also we can see the transactions over the last roughly month, the last 3 months as well. Back in, this is back in the beginning of May, the transactions were going crazy. These are queries and also updates. And in the last year, I mean, guys, you could see that we did hit a massive spike recently back in April. Since then, we kind of cooled off, but for the most part, we're kind of right on par with the previous transactions and the average transaction rate. But it just goes to show you how much this ecosystem is growing and how much transactional volume and value is also moving over ICP almost every single day. And also on top of that, the actual dashboard, here we have the actual dashboard for ICP. All of this got updated, by the way, recently. Total value locked on ICP, 1.11 billion compared to the 2.56 billion market cap for ICP. If we actually look at the network itself, we could see a few things. Number one, the biggest thing that I want to actually focus on is the ecosystem projects. Over 350 plus ecosystem projects. This is something to really notice. Why? Because this has been growing over the last couple months. When I was talking about ICP back in 2024, we were looking at this, and I think then it had about 160 or maybe even 180 projects or so. Again, a lot of this did get updated since, so I'm not too sure on how many exact projects were live on ICP back then, but we're over 370 plus projects here. A lot of this is through Chain Fusion, and it's also DeFi related. We also have a lot of tools and infrastructure projects, creator economy as well. And then we have AI. There is so many AI projects on ICP at this point. It's wild. This is becoming home to a ton of great AI-based projects. And it's also the reason why the DFinity team has been so active around AI discussions and talking about how big AI will be, because ICP definitely is going to have a lot more AI-based projects launching on it throughout the rest of this year and even going forward, because the DFinity team is all in on the AI, hype. But on top of that, these are not just your typical AI-based projects. A lot of these are actually building out some very solid AI-based use cases, not just for Web3, but also even outside of Web3, which I'm very, very excited about. Now, on top of that, like I said, yes, when we think about these major events like the World Computer Summit 2025, this was a very big success. They did break it down over here on exactly the agenda and all that kind of stuff, which, again, this was just a huge event to really kind of listen into, because there was a lot of things announced at it, which we'll go over. But we see over here that it was a milestone for the internet computer, 1,000 plus builders, 50 plus speakers, big ideas. We launched the ICP Alliance to shape the next web. We previewed the future with a live demo of Caffeine. And yeah, listen, this is a very exciting time for ICP, because they continue to launch great things like, for an example, the ICP Alliance, which they're fully focused on making sure that the Web3 push actually happens. I love projects like this because, again, they are showing us how big Web3 can be and will be because of these types of projects. Hedera is another great one to really kind of mention. I've mentioned a few ones over the last couple months as well, but I love to see this. And on top of that, right, let's go over here. It's been 10 years since Dominic laid out the vision for the internet computer. Now we're seeing Internet Computer 2.0 come to life. Dominic, founder of DFinity, reflects on the packed house, the progress, and the future at this year's World Computer Summit. Check it out.
The purpose of the summit is to celebrate the internet computer and the realization of the world computer dream. 4 years feels like a lifetime on the one hand, and also on the other hand, like it's 4 months. It's kind of like strange that it's 4 years on. It's actually 10 years since I created the first DFinity website and outlined the vision for Internet Computer 1.0, a world computer that you can build anything on. That does feel like a long time. Well, the vibe's incredible. I know there's been some challenges fitting everybody in. There was a huge sort of snake around the block, probably going on from a couple hundred meters or something. Funnily enough, that's exactly what happened last year. So we ran the event, the DCENT HQ, not far from here, which is a pretty big building. It wasn't big enough, so we moved here this year to address, capacity issues. And of course, what's happened is that the event's grown, so we've still got capacity issues. This place is absolutely packed today. I've not been too part of the preparations. I've been deep in technical work until yesterday. I know there's been a lot of very interesting demos on the ecosystem stage, but for my part, I'm just focused on doing my job, which is to show everyone what it's really like Internet Computer 2.0, the self-writing internet, realized through this platform called Caffeine.
And yeah, I mean, listen, when we really think about what Dominic has been doing with the DFinity team, it's incredible. It's incredible to watch all of this really come to life, especially with all of these big announcements that the DFinity team has been announcing. Even some of the other things that we heard announced at this event, like for an example, OneSec. I mean, all of this stuff coming to the ICP ecosystem is very bullish. It's very bullish. And on top of that, right, like when I talk about what's going on with these projects, I look at the dev activity, I look at the growth, I look at the actual network usage. This is telling me how undervalued ICP actually is. Right now, most of these altcoins are still moving with Bitcoin. Most of them are still moving with the hype and speculation side of the market. When we think about the fundamentals and the facts behind these networks, this is what matters. Looking at the dashboards, looking at the growth, looking at the building, what are they actually doing on the network? They're expanding it. They're building. They're announcing incredible things for the Web3 side of the market. And this is something that I think everyone should be focused on, especially if you want to make money in this space. Investing into legitimate projects that are actually building, that are actually launching, crucial pieces for this entire space. And when we think about OneSec, this is a decentralized message passing bridge that allows you to bring USDC in and out of ICP with no CK ETH. This is extremely bullish for the ICP side because, again, this is without any CK ETH. And this is also huge for stablecoins. We already know how big stablecoins are becoming. Having these bridges for stablecoins, having these core interoperability, pieces out there for stablecoins is going to be a huge game changer for not only payments, not only, the transactions that we see happening around these stablecoins, around like tokenization, for an example, but it's also opening up the door of opportunity for the network to see a lot more value and a lot more users come in to the space because of stablecoin usage. And then we also have USON, which is a lending protocol making direct use of that bridge, allowing you to lend some Bitcoin and borrow some USDC on another chain. Again, when we think about what's happening here with stablecoins are just the face value piece, right? Behind stablecoins, you have so many additional use cases unlocked. Once you have a stablecoin bridged into a network, you can now tap into DeFi use cases like lending and borrowing. You could also tap into additional use cases, liquidity pools, which you could, borrow against, or, tap into additional things like a DEX or any sort of major use case around the DeFi side. Ultimately, a lot of this is passive income opportunities, but this is very exciting. And check it out. Listen closely to what they are doing with OneSec and USON.
Hey everyone, I'm Enzo. I'm part of the early contributor teams at Water, and now we are launching two new projects called OneSec and USON. OneSec is a decentralized message passing bridge. It allows you to bring USDC in and out of ICP with no CK ETH. And USON is a lending protocol making direct use of that bridge, allowing you to lend some Bitcoin and borrow some USDC on another chain. This year we were invited to pitch at the pitching competition with projects where we explain what was holding ICP DeFi back and how we can help ICP attain higher TVL and more liquidity, which we see as one of the keystones to attract more founders. Building on the internet computer is tough, but rewarding. It's tougher technology to understand, but once you get a hold of it, you can really scale and write things way faster. And we really like working with the tech. I'm a bit biased. I'm ex-foundation, so I saw it from the inside. People might not know that for one sec, we did a new kind of bridging technology underneath, different from Chain Fusion, one that allows for more throughput. So one of the problems with USDC was if a few people were transacting at the same time, you need to wait a long time. As the throughput problem is fixed, and we can support like 50 users every few seconds, which is a lot. The next exciting step is going to be the launch of OneSec.to, and the steps after this is going to be the launch of USAN.fi.
So yeah, when we think about how big these pieces are for the, the ICP side, this is unlocking and ultimately opening up a huge opportunity around the ICP ecosystem, which is DeFi use cases that don't need CKE. This is bringing USDC in and out of the ICP ecosystem. That is also unlocking an opportunity to lend and borrow against that USDC or even against Bitcoin, for an example. This is very exciting. This is very exciting. It's opening up more use cases around the ecosystem and around ICP, and it's unlocking core pieces of even the Web3 side. And on top of that, right, Aeon also recently announced that they're bringing real-world Web3 payments to life with DFINITY ICP, which is now accepted by 20 million plus SIA merchants via Aeon. Pay, shop, dine, and pay offline with decentralized power at Starbucks, McDonald's, and more. So this is very exciting. And again, this is also expanding, ICP adoption in the real world. It's also opening up the network for, anyone that wants to tap in. And this is on par with the USDC moves that have been being made around the DFINITY side of things. Again, I love stablecoin use cases. I think that they are, very important to focus on because stablecoins are definitely going to be the future of money, in my opinion. They already make over 1% of the M2 money supply globally. And we also see so much adoption happening around stablecoins as well. And when it comes to the ICP side of things, we already know that there's, a lot of stablecoin initiatives happening on the network. So we love to see that as well, on par with the AI moves, on par with the DeFi use cases as well, and of course the expansion of the ecosystem itself. This is why I do think that right now ICP is a huge opportunity in this space. I think that ICP should be focused on. I think that right now within this market, it's a very good time to be focused on these projects that are dipping back down into these major demand zones that did at one point in time, and I say recently as well, because again, it was very recent. All of these areas down here have led to major ROI. I mean, if you really kind of bought the lows, even though we dipped a little bit lower into, 2023 and even 2022, if you bought just like the mid range of this, you were up over 320+%. And also even on the recent high in December, you were up over 216, almost 217%. So when it comes to these levels down here, I do treat them as a major opportunity and a major DCA opportunity as well for the long-term future ahead. And when it comes to ICP, I think that 2025 is still going to be a big year for ICP along with other, additional, altcoins. I think that the entire altcoin market is going to wake up in a big way this year. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.